Mathematics is an abstract subject. To teach the children, we have to follow a few principles. Firstly, everyone can learn mathematics and everyone must learn mathematics. Every child, boy or girl, whether from a city or from a village, they will be able to learn mathematics, and their learning depends on the way we actually teach them. Secondly, we need to teach the concepts in a fun filled and a joyful way. If they learn it happily, the concepts would stay strong in their mind and it would help them apply the concepts in their life. Hence, we use play and learn, do and understand principle. If we teach them maths through games, it is impossible for them to forget it. Thirdly, we need to tell them how to apply mathematics in their daily life. That is, maths is not just an arithmetic operation. Instead of teaching how to do addition and subtraction, where is addition used in our life? Where can we use subtraction? If we teach them in this way, children will be more interested in mathematics. Fourth point is, when we teach, we normally concentrate on a short-term goal like how to do addition or how to do subtraction. But we have to make them see the higher goal of where to use it instead of focusing on how to do it. Sometimes we put too much pressure on them about the basic operations. We need to correct that. However, we do not spend much time on geometry and shapes, etc. We don't give much time towards that. We must teach them such concepts as well. We should follow this principle. Maths is a way of solving problems. Hence, while teaching, we should tell them how to apply it and use it in real life and how to improve logical thinking. We need to think about it too. Further, when we teach, we normally teach the concept first. They need clarity about the concept. Then we should tell them about the procedure. For example, first, what is addition? Then, how to do addition. So, only after the concept is clearly understood, then we can teach the procedural fluency. Another principle is, if we need to see how much they have understood maths, we should do continuous and comprehensive assessment. So, for us to understand how far the children have gone in mathematizing, after every concept, have they understood the concept? How about the method? We need to know. So, we implement the continuous comprehensive evaluation. Another principle is, we need to give teachers many resources and techniques, because we will have different students with different learning abilities. We cannot teach them in a uniform way. Therefore, teachers have to use multiple techniques and resources to make the process easier. We have understood the principles of learning. We might have heard this in many training programs. But if we use learning tools and teaching methods and teach the children in a joyful way, we can teach mathematics effectively. To teach mathematics effectively, we have to observe a few important points. One of them is 3 C's. We call it 3C. First among them is constructivism. That is, we call it constructivism. The way it works is, the child has to create the knowledge on his or her own. As we normally see, in traditional teaching, what we do is, teachers transfer their knowledge to the students. Instead of this, here we create an environment for learning. What happens here is the child creates a way of learning for itself. So this is firstly constructivism. Second C is about collaborative and cooperative learning. We follow this principle. This requires children to work in groups by cooperating and collaborating with each other. Third is CCE, which is already mentioned earlier, that is comprehensive and continuous evaluation. So comprehensive and continuous evaluation, these are 3 C's. Using these 3 C's, we can easily learn mathematics. Firstly, it is constructivism. Let us see what it is. In this method, we have to give the children some teaching and learning material and create an opportunity to form their own knowledge. When children solve problems using a variety of teaching and learning materials, they can create their own knowledge about mathematics in their own way. This is learning with constructivism. While using constructivism, facilitators have to observe the children. They should not teach them anything. Instead, they should give an opportunity for the children to create their own knowledge. Even if they make mistakes, teachers should not correct them. What the facilitators can do is ask them, "Why did you do that? What can be done?" By asking such questions, facilitators should make them aware of the mistake. So, this is our job as a facilitator. So, another point is we need to keep them engaged in activities. Only if we give them activities can they construct the knowledge. Construction of knowledge does not happen in a short time, so we have to give them more opportunities for that. Also, we have to take them towards higher order thinking. So, when they are doing the activities, are they thinking on a higher level? We need to observe that. When we give them these opportunities, constructivism can happen. So, facilitators have to keep these points in mind while teaching. Let us look at how to use 3 C's in the classroom and teach according to the prescribed syllabus. Here, we use the 5E model. What are the 5 E's? First is engage stage. We engage the children in this stage. Second is the explore stage, exploration stage. Third is the explain stage. This is where we explain. Next is the elaborate stage. Expanding happens here. Fifth one is evaluate stage or assessment stage. Let us understand this further. First is the engage stage. That is about how to engage the children. Whenever we need to know something, we need to develop an interest in it, right? Hence, in the engage stage, through songs and stories and games, we create an interest in them about the concept. Once the interest is created, they want to know more about it. Once the interest is created, what do? We will have to explore it further. How do we do it? In the explore stage, we give them learning tools and tell them how to use them. How to learn the concept. Using the TLM, this is what we teach. Children may get into groups or individually using the teaching learning materials and they will explore the concept. Now, have they understood the concept that they explored? How do we know? That is why we use the explain stage. In this explain stage, what do the facilitators do? They ask them questions. What did you understand? What answer did you get? Why did you get that answer? How did you get that answer? When the children explain it, facilitators will know if they understood the concept or not, is how it works. Now the children have already understood the concept. Have they understood it well? How do we know if they have learnt it thoroughly or not? Can they extend it? That is, can they apply it to real life? Or can they use different tools and show that they have understood this concept or not? We have to understand this part as well. So that is the reason why we use this elaborate stage. After all this, when the facilitators know that the children have understood, they have to use the last stage, that is the evaluation or the assessment stage. For the children, formative and summative. Both evaluations need to be done. Formative assessment and summative assessment. Using this method, we can find out if the child has understood the concept and if the child has understood the procedure is what we can find out. So this is the 5E model. Through this model, we can use the 3 C's and apply it in the classroom. When we use this 5E model, children do something on their own and learn, and in a group, they also learn from one another. This leads to learning in 2 ways. One point is, while using the 5E model, in the engage stage and evaluate stage, we can use a lot of songs and games. Since children are more interested in all this, they will not know that we are evaluating them. Hence, they are likely to learn the concept well. One more point is, it is not possible to complete all the 5Es in a single day. Therefore, facilitators need to know that one day you may do only engage and explore. Another day you may be able to do only explore and explain. Sometimes we may use the 5E model across 5 or 6 days. There's no problem. Only when we use this 5E model and the concept is done, and when we know children have got it, only then we can go to the next concept. I hear, I forget. I see, I remember. I do, I understand. Therefore, learning is complete once we do it. When we learn mathematics, it is always better to go from concrete to abstract. What children see is one type of learning. They always remember what they do. Hence, we use concrete objects and teach them the concept and help them understand the concept better. And then we move to the abstract. Another way is going from the known to unknown, going from what the child knows to what the child does not know. Throw light on it. So we move to the concrete stage. What do we do in this? We make use of various learning tools. What do we do if there are no learning tools? We can use anything available. But what we do here is, when we give them some tools, they can touch it, feel it, and experience it. Then they see mathematics. Otherwise, mathematics is abstract. So how do we make them understand mathematics? So we use these concrete objects. Once they understand the concept with the concrete objects, what we do is, when they go to abstract, there is another stage. This stage has a particular name given to it, the representational stage. What we do here is, what the child has seen in the concrete stage, we represent it either through a picture or in any other drawn structure. Can the child show it in a drawn form? Sometimes we use pictures or the square line book. So using this, if they are able to represent, once they are able to represent it, they can move to the abstract stage easily. So abstract is the abstract stage where we use numbers and symbols and show them a problem and solve a problem methodically. So when we go from the concrete to the abstract, the representational stage is the middle stage. So CRA method that we follow, concrete, representational and abstract, where C stands for concrete, R stands for representational and A stands for abstract. So going from concrete to abstract is CRA approach. It is an instructional approach. It is a way of teaching. Three C, 5E and CRA. Using these, let us see how to learn in a group. To begin with, let us make groups in a class. If you have 20 to 25 students in a class, it is better to make 5 to 6 groups. Group management becomes easy. How many children in a group? 5 to 6 students would be ideal to manage. How to form the groups? A group should have boys and girls, and their learning levels should be different. So there should be below average, average, and above average children as well. So the possibility of learning from peers will increase. So when in groups, when we begin, after making them into groups, every group should have a name. So this makes it easier for them to recognize the group. And then what we do is we make a group chart. The group chart will have many details. We write about the group members and their scoring. What are the marks obtained by each group will be recorded. With this, it is easy to motivate the children. What we do here is, if a group has 5 students, we give them a code. Each child gets a code, maybe ABCD or AEIOU or Kacha Tatapa. When we give a code, each group would have a Ka, one Ga, etc. It becomes easy for us to give a learning opportunity to all the children. When the facilitator says all A's stand up, all A's would get up. And every child need not be addressed by their given name. What happens in group learning is sometimes we get a multigrade situation. In this situation, we get students from different grades. Sometimes multi-level, that is, students from different levels will also be there. We have to keep these points in mind and facilitate learning. Every group should have a name, and every group should have a boy and a girl as a leader. And leadership has to change from time to time. If we do this, every child would get a chance to be a leader. So now, how do we manage these groups? Initially, the facilitators can manage them. Individual members can also manage, and the leaders can also manage. One group can manage the other group. When you use such varied techniques, there will be more effective ways of learning and understanding. And children can also learn in different ways. If we follow it as a routine, the children tend to lose interest in it. Since we have used different approaches, they will retain the interest to learn the concept. These are the different ways of managing groups. Let us look at the benefits of group learning. Here, every child has a chance for self-learning and learning from peers as well. And every child would get a chance to be a leader. Children are not likely to lose concentration because they do not know when the facilitator would call their name, and when they have to give an answer is not known. Hence, they will have to stay attentive at all times. So, because of these group activities, they will develop a sportive spirit. Children learn through the games they play with their peers and friends, so the learning will happen and they will be happy as well. They do not have to be in a single place and listen to a lecture from the teachers, and this will not be a boring exercise. They can talk to their classmates, exchange their thoughts, and learn very well in an interactive method. Normally what happens is, bright students or enthusiastic students give the answers first. Some of the shy students might not even get a chance to answer. But in group learning, since the facilitator calls out a particular student's name, every student will get a chance to answer the question. That is one of the biggest benefits of learning in a group. Let us see how using 5E model can be implemented in group learning. In the first stage of Engage, what we do is, through a story or songs, we make them sit in the form of a circle, this is called circle time, and make them do activities. In the Explore stage, what we do is, we demonstrate to the children in different ways. First, the facilitators use the different learning tools and give a demonstration to the children. The group members will observe this. The facilitators will approach a child and ask him or her to explain what they just demonstrated. This is the explain stage. The second type of Explore is from every group, either the leader or a member should volunteer to demonstrate to the entire class and teach the concept using the learning tools. And then the facilitators should ask a student to explain the concept. The third type of Explore is where the facilitator would have given a responsibility to each member and they'll have to do it. That is, A, you give a problem, B, you do this, C, watch what B does, D, give the answer, E, explain it, or F, be a bank. such different responsibilities are given, all group members will have to take it up. We would have explored it in different ways. Similarly, explain. The facilitator would ask a member to explain what a group did, and the other members will have to explain what happened. These explore and explain stages go together. We have to explain after exploring. So, whichever way they explore, it will be explained immediately. What will the facilitators understand? They will get to know if the children have understood the concept well or not. In this elaborate stage, what we do is we give different TLMs to different groups. So every group can learn the same concept using different teaching and learning material. Another observation here is a lot of cross learning happens here. Every child has a different way of learning. So while learning in a group, they learn different methods of learning too. That is, which style or way is used by members of their group can be discussed as well as learnt. This group activity helps every child learn mathematics, and every child can benefit from this group activity. For one concept, there can be different TLMs in different groups. One group may have base 10 blocks, one group may have play money, another group might have abacus. So what happens here is the children will have an enthusiasm to use a different TLM. So how can I quickly solve this problem with this TLM and get the next TLM will be their focus. With that enthusiasm, they will learn quickly. In group learning, which is different from traditional learning, we can witness a lot of energy and happiness, and learning happens very effectively. Since every child has learnt it well, it will remain with them permanently and concepts will be understood clearly. In this method, there is a chance of noise in the school, a lot of noise and sound because children have lot of energy. So they will make noise, they will talk to their peers. We may feel there is a lot of noise, but it is happening because of the happy learning. What do we call this? We call this the positive noise. Since good learning is happening, we should not call this noise. The facilitators should be happy because they achieved what they had set out to do in the classroom. If we need discipline and silence during the group learning, facilitators can put down certain rules. If the children are told what they can and cannot do right at the beginning, these problems can be avoided. Even then, when the noise is happening, the facilitators should take it as a positive noise because learning is happening. What should the facilitators see? They should see if the talk is about the concept. If they are talking about something else, we need to take disciplinary action. If they are talking about the concept, then we need to know it is for good. Sometimes, in the kit that we have given, the TLMs might not be enough for all the groups. What can be done then? One solution is, if one group is given abacus, the other can be given play money, the other can be given base 10 blocks. Then every group will get sufficient TLMs. This play money. Since we have enough play money, everyone can get play money. If that is not sufficient either, we can use local items or do it yourself where TLMs can be made by ourselves. They can make TLMs using their books or cardboard so that there is one for every group. Since the math kit is made with social welfare in mind, nobody has a copyright. Since this is Creative Commons, any teacher can do it on their own and replicate it, and they can create their own necessary TLMs. If we have multiple graders in a single classroom, that is 4th and 5th grades in the same room, what we have to do is, we will have to redistribute the syllabus to ensure one concept in a single period. So if the 3rd graders are doing addition and the 4th graders are also doing addition, they can do it together as a group activity. While learning mathematics, word problems as we call it, are a big challenge to the teachers. Let us see how we can teach this in a simple way. These word problems, why do we need them? In the elaborate stage, children need to understand how to apply the problem in real life. So what we do here is we give the problems in form of small stories. If they have to solve it, how can they solve it? How can they solve it easily? First of all, let us look at the complexity of these word problems. Since this is in the form of a story, students should first know the language. If the story is in Kannada, they should know Kannada. If it is in Hindi, they should know Hindi. Even if they know the language, they should have the ability to read it. If they don't know the language, if they are not able to read in that language, they cannot solve the problems in that language. Even if they know that language or if they are able to read in that language, are they able to understand the language is what we have to find out. Only if they understand that language, what is said in the story and what is to be done, they will be able to understand it. Once the children understand who is there, what are they doing, what they have to do, what is the problem, after thinking about this, they have to recognize the concept in the problem, then mathematize it. After doing this, they have to apply the method and solve the problem. Once the problem is solved, the answer that they get should be applied to the story. Only if they are able to do all this, they will be able to solve the word problem. Let us take a word problem. Ramu has 5 apples and Shamu has 3 oranges. Now, if we ask them how many fruits they have between them, child has to first know Kannada language and what is happening in the story. Who is there? Ramu is there, Shamu is there. What does Ramu have? 5 apples. What does Shamu have? 3 oranges. What is the question? How many fruits are there? So what will he do? Because they are together, he knows he has to add it. He has to do addition. He will use the method and do the addition. That is 5 plus 3 is 8. So what is this 8? 8 fruits. So till he understands there are 8 fruits, the problem will not be solved. It won't be complete. So he has to understand it as 8 fruits and put it in the answer. Only then the problem is solved. Some students might not be able to solve the word problem in the abstract stage. What can we do then? We can use the CRA. So in the first stage, that is the concrete stage, they can show the apples and oranges as 2 different colors. They can use the counters and do the addition, and the answers that they get can be applied to the questions. This they can do it in the representational stage as well by drawing a picture in their notebook. Or else they can use the abstract stage and solve the problem. Depending on which level the child is, the CRA method can be used to solve the problem.